Here we have a 2012 Acura TL, and today I'll be replacing the alternator on it. So first, I'll take the battery terminal. Next thing you want to do is get the alternator harness out of the way, which is going to be remove the cover, that bolt right there, and then this plug over here, and then another plug, the green one right down there. Okay, so the harness is now removed. I tucked it in back there. Also remove the coolant overflow tank, so there's more room to work around the alternator. And next thing you want to do is loosen the belt and take the belt off. To remove the serpentine belt, you're going to have to move that tensioner back to give it some slack so that you can remove the belt. And to do that, you need a 14 mil wrench. I use one of these, bent one. There's a good amount of tension on that tensioner, so I'm using the wrench and also a pipe for some more leverage. And once you have it on that bolt, you're going to want to twist counterclockwise, and that's going to loosen the tension on the belt. And while tension is loosened, keep holding it and make sure you get that belt off one of the pulleys. So like so. Okay, so the next part is going to be getting the alternator off. There's only 2 bolts. The first one is going to be pretty easy. It's right up here, so it's behind the shield. And the second one is going to be a little more tricky because it is all the way, I don't know if you can see in the video, down there, right behind the pulley. So what needs to be done is the pulley needs to be moved back, and then it actually needs to be locked in. Okay, so here we go again. Moving it back. There, you see that notch past that little hole? And inside the hole, I'm going to stick an Allen wrench. Okay, so I got the Allen wrench in. You can see how it's holding it right there. And now I can access the bolt that holds the alternator right down there. Okay, let's get it off. So the lower alternator bolt is going to be a 14 mil. Got my ratchet on. I'm also going to use a pipe to attach to the ratchet to break it loose. Okay, so I finally got it out. It is stuck on there pretty good, so I used the pry bar like this to pry it out from underneath against that part where it sits right down there. So just give it a little nudge and this should pop right out. And then it's also kind of hard to pull it out of here because it's so tight, so I had to unbolt the bracket for the AC line and then sort of move it out of the way, and I pulled it out right through here. I got this harness out of the way, tucked it back here, and then I pulled it right through this spot in here. So there you go, alternator's out. So I took the old alternator off. I took it to an auto parts store. They did a bench test on it and it failed. So I ended up buying a new alternator and a new serpentine belt that I'm gonna be putting on it. Okay, now putting the alternator back in, I put it in between this harness and this AC line, and I shoved it in through here. You kind of have to wiggle it side to side to make it fit in there. And then I also put the bolt in there. Now I'm gonna put the top one on and then start tightening them in. Okay, so I got all the alternator bolts back in, got everything tightened, got the AC line tightened down there also. And now I'll be installing the serpentine belt, and then we'll be releasing the tensioner. The serpentine belt is now on, and now we're gonna pull the tensioner pulley clockwise back, and then I'm gonna pull that Allen key out so that it's gonna put pressure onto the belt and keep it tight. Okay, the tensioner is released and the belt is now tight. I also had the car up on jack stands when I was putting the belt on to get to the crank pulley easier and make sure the belt is on there all the way. Okay, so we got the alternator all in there. Let's start the car now. And no more check charging system light, and the battery light down here went off too. So, all good.